The large hall of the Galactic Council was filled with alien officials. Different species from across the stars sat in their seats, whispering and watching. In the center stood a tall human named Jake Carter. He wore a simple military uniform, his face calm but his eyes alert. The council leader, a reptilian alien named Varnex, spoke first. "Human, we have a special task for you." Jake nodded. "What's the mission?" Varnex smiled, a cold, sharp smile. "You will go to planet Gractor. We want you to study the land and report back. Simple." But it wasn't simple. Every alien in the room knew what Gractor really was. It wasn't just a jungle planet. It was the home of the beast, a giant, deadly creature that had killed every soldier sent there. No one had ever returned. The other aliens looked at Jake with pity or amusement. Another human volunteer. One whispered, "He won't last." "A day," said another. Jake noticed the smirks but said nothing. He stood straight and accepted the mission. 2 days later, Jake stood inside a military dropship, flying fast toward Gractor. The pilot, a bird-like alien, didn't even look at him. When they reached the planet, the door opened. Wind and thick mist hit Jake's face. "No turning back now," the pilot said, laughing as Jake stepped out. The door closed behind him. The ship flew away. Jake was alone. The jungle was quiet. Too quiet. He looked around. Tall trees with black leaves stood like towers. Vines hung low. Strange smells filled the air. His boots sank into soft, wet ground with every step. He walked carefully, holding a small blaster. His mission kit was basic. Too basic. Just food packs, a knife, and one scanner. "Deliberate," he muttered. "They don't want me to come back." After a few minutes, he saw something strange. A metal helmet, rusted and cracked, lying in the grass. Next to it was a broken alien weapon and a few bones. He stopped. "They really sent me to die." Suddenly he heard it, a low growl. Deep, powerful. It echoed through the trees. Jake turned fast, weapon ready. But the growl faded. He didn't see anything. Yet. As night came, the jungle became darker. The fog got thicker. Jake climbed up a small hill to set camp. From there, he could see far across the trees. Lightning flashed far in the distance. The air smelled like smoke and something worse, something rotten. Jake didn't sleep. He sat awake, listening. Every few minutes he heard roars or howls in the distance. Then, silence. At midnight, something passed nearby. He didn't see it, but he felt it. The ground shook for a second. A huge shape moved through the trees, slow and heavy. Jake held his breath. It didn't stop. It kept walking. The trees creaked. Then, silence again. Whatever it was bigger than anything Jake had seen before. In the morning, Jake moved again. He found more signs. Crushed trees, deep claw marks in stone, and a smashed alien robot. He scanned the area. The scanner beeped once, then died. "Perfect," he muttered. He kept walking, using his compass. Hours passed. No food signs, no water, only more bones. Some fresh. As he stepped into a clearing, he stopped. In the center was a massive footprint, at least 10 feet wide. Around it were scratches in the dirt, like something had circled then leapt. Jake knelt to inspect it. The ground was still warm. Suddenly a loud roar shook the sky. It came from the east. Birds flew up screaming. The trees swayed. Jake stood slowly, heart racing. "That's not an animal," he whispered. "That's a monster." He checked his weapon. Only 3 energy cells. Not enough. He continued walking, but with more care. Every sound made him stop and listen. Every shadow made him grip his weapon tighter. Near sunset, he found something unexpected. Cave. It looked old, covered in moss, but at the entrance there were symbols carved in stone. Not human. Not alien. Ancient. He stepped inside slowly. It was dry and cool, Strange paintings covered the walls, pictures of a large beast. In some, the beast fought. In others, it stood beside alien warriors. Jake stared at one image longer than the rest. The beast and a man. Side by side. Huh, he whispered. Is that even possible? Suddenly a loud sniff echoed in the cave. Not from Jake. He turned slowly. Two glowing red eyes stared at him from the darkness. The red eyes didn't blink. They stared from deep inside the dark cave. Jake didn't move. He knew if he ran, he would die. The creature stepped forward. Its body was huge, twice the size of any animal Jake had seen. Covered in thick black scales, its long claws scraped the cave floor. Horns curled from its head like a dragon. Its breath was hot and smelled like fire and blood, but it didn't attack. It sniffed again, like it was curious. Jake stayed still, hands away from his weapon. I'm not your enemy, he said slowly. The creature tilted its head. Then it growled, not loud, but low and deep. Jake slowly backed away. Step by step, he moved toward the cave entrance. The beast followed, silent and smooth. Outside, the fog had grown thick. Jake could barely see his own hands. The jungle was gone in white mist. He walked carefully, listening. The beast was still behind him. Then suddenly, roar! A second roar came, from the jungle, not the cave. The beast with Jake raised its head and answered. Another one? Jake froze. There's more of them, he whispered. From the mist, a large shadow appeared. Then another. 3 shapes moved slowly through the fog, circling. Jake realized he was trapped. The first beast stepped beside him, close enough that Jake could feel its heat. But instead of attacking him, it faced the fog. The others growled. Jake understood. Something then. They weren't allies. A second beast charged. Jake dived to the ground as claws swiped through the air. Trees cracked. The first beast, his beast, met the attacker head-on. They clashed like titans. Dust and leaves flew into the air. Roars echoed like thunder. Jake crawled back, watching with wide eyes. His beast fought hard. It was smarter. Faster. After a brutal battle, the enemy beast limped away, bleeding. The others followed it into the fog. Only silence remained. Jake sat there, heart pounding. The beast turned to him, bleeding from its shoulder, breathing hard. It didn't look angry. It looked tired. Jake stood. Slowly, carefully, he stepped closer. Are you protecting me? The beast didn't move. Jake pulled out a water pack and tossed it gently near the beast. It sniffed it, then drank. They stared at each other. 2 creatures from 2 different worlds. No words, just a silent understanding. Jake reached into his pack, pulled out a med gel, and stepped forward. The beast growled once, low, but it didn't attack. Jake placed the gel on the bleeding wound. The beast winced, but stayed still. After a moment, it lay down beside him. Not to trap him, to rest. That night, the fog grew even thicker. Jake started a small fire inside the cave. He sat close to the beast, which slept with one eye open. He didn't know what it was. He didn't know if it would still turn on him. But something had changed. The next morning, Jake stepped outside and found footprints. His own and massive claw prints, side by side. He looked back. The beast stood at the cave mouth, watching him. Jake smiled a little. You're not a monster, he said softly. You're just misunderstood. The beast huffed like it. Understood. Jake knew now he couldn't kill it. He wouldn't run from it, he would learn from it and maybe train it. The beast did something strange the next morning. Jake had just finished eating a protein bar when he heard a sound behind him. Not a growl, not a roar, a soft grunt. He turned slowly. The beast was holding something in its jaws. It dropped it in front of Jake, a dead animal, some kind of alien deer, still fresh. Jake blinked. Did you bring this for me? The beast didn't move. just watched. Jake crouched and touched the creature. Warm blood, sharp teeth marks. Yes, it hunted for him a gift. Jake understood. This wasn't just survival. The beast was trying to communicate, and that changed everything. Over the next few days, Jake studied the creature's behavior. It never wandered too far. When Jake walked, it followed. When he stopped, it waited. Sometimes it walked ahead, then turned back as if leading him somewhere. Jake gave it a name. Titan. He spoke to it every day. Good boy, Titan. Let's go, Titan. No, eat me, Titan. The beast didn't speak, but it listened. It learned his voice, his tone, and slowly it started responding. Jake raised his hand to stop. Titan stopped. Jake waved forward. Titan moved. One day, Jake tripped over a root and fell hard. Titan rushed toward him, fast and ready. Jake braced for claws. Instead, Titan sniffed him, then pushed its head under his body, helping him stand. Jake laughed. You big softy. He placed a hand on Titan's thick neck. The creature didn't growl. It leaned into his touch. That night, Jake drew shapes in the dirt, circles for food, lines for water, arrows for direction. Titan watched. Then, with one claw, it drew a line next to Jake's arrow. Jake stared. You're smarter than anyone knows. They traveled together deeper into the jungle. Titan showed him secret paths, safe caves, and places with clean water. Jake realized this wasn't just a bond. It was trust. He could no longer see Titan as a beast. It was a partner, a friend. One morning, Jake woke to find Titan missing. Panic hit. He grabbed his gear and ran through the trees, shouting, Titan! Suddenly branches snapped. A huge shadow appeared. It was Titan returning, with a large plant in its mouth. Berries, roots, edible. Jake dropped to his knees and laughed. You're feeding me now? The beast dropped the food, then sat like a dog. Jake's eyes widened. Sit. Did you understand sit? He tested more words. Stay. Titan didn't move. Come. Titan walked over. Jake's heart raced. He wasn't just surviving. He was teaching it. That night, they rested near a river. The moonlight bounced off Titan's scales, making them glow silver. Jake looked at the stars. Back home they think you're a killer. Titan grunted. But they're wrong. You're amazing. Titan leaned its giant head against Jake's shoulder. For a moment the jungle was silent and peaceful. But peace didn't last. Suddenly branches snapped in the dark. Jake jumped up. Titan growled. A deep, angry sound. Shapes moved in the distance. Hunters, not beasts. Soldiers. Jake saw metal suits, laser rifles, alien troops. They had come for the beast. The red light from the soldier's visor blinked in the dark. Jake held his breath behind a thick tree. Titan crouched beside him, completely silent like a shadow. The soldiers didn't know he was there, but they were looking, not for Jake, for Titan. They spoke in a strange alien language, but Jake could guess their plan. He counted 5. All armed. All moving in a slow circle, they carried traps, energy nets, and rifles, not just to kill, to capture. Jake leaned closer to Titan and whispered, They came for you. Titan growled low, but didn't move. Jake touched its shoulder. Not yet. We wait. One soldier walked too close. He spotted a footprint. Titan's. He raised his gun and called the others. Jake's heart raced. They were closing in. The first net fired. Whoosh! Jake pulled Titan back just in time. The net hit a tree and exploded, with sparks. Now they knew someone was watching. A loud alien voice shouted, Go! Go! Laser beams lit the jungle. Trees burned. Leaves sizzled. Titan roared. Jake grabbed his blaster and fired 2 quick shots. One soldier dropped, screaming. But there were more. Too many. Jake shouted, Run! Titan charged through the brush like a tank. Jake ran behind him. Beams missed, his head by inches. Trees exploded around them. A net grazed Titan's leg. It sparked but didn't hold. The beast roared and kept going. Jake jumped over a log, rolled down a hill and landed in thick mud. Titan followed, crushing branches as he moved. They didn't stop until they reached a rocky cave. Titan blocked the entrance with his body. Inside, Jake breathed hard. That was close. Titan's leg bled from a burn. Jake pulled out his last med gel. "Hold still," he whispered. Titan didn't flinch. Jake cleaned the wound and sat down beside him. "They're not here to explore. They're here to take you." Jake thought hard. "Why now?" he asked aloud. Titan looked at him with glowing eyes. Jake remembered something. That image on the cave wall, the beast standing beside ancient warriors. "Maybe you're not the only one," Jake said. "Maybe they know what you are." Hours passed. Then, movement, footsteps. The soldiers had found them again. Jake stood and raised his blaster. Titan growled, low and ready. But this time Jake didn't want to run. This time they would fight. The car. First soldier appeared. Jake fired first. Titan leapt from the cave entrance like a missile, tackling one to the ground. Screams echoed. Jake shot the second one. The third raised a launcher. Titan's tail smashed into him, breaking his armor. One by one, the soldiers fell. The last one dropped his weapon and tried to run. Jake walked toward him. "No more hunting," he said coldly. The soldier looked at Titan in frozen fear. Titan growled once, then walked away. They didn't kill him, they just let him go. When it was over, Jake stood in silence. Titan came back, stood beside him, eyes scanning the jungle. Jake placed his hand on Titan's massive head. "You're not just an animal." Titan blinked. "You're a warrior." Jake looked toward the sky. It was time to go home, time to show the galaxy what they had tried to throw away. The alien base was quiet that day. No one expected the human to return. Not alive. Certainly not with the monster. The guards at the gate were laughing, betting credits on how many bones they'd find in the jungle. Then the alarm rang. Motion detected. The camera feed flickered. And what they saw made them freeze. A single human walked toward the base gate, dirty, bruised, eyes sharp. Beside him, the beast of Galactic. But it wasn't attacking. It was walking, calmly, like a trained pet. No, like a companion. The guards dropped their drinks. One of them shouted, "Open fire!" But the commander, a silver-scaled alien, raised his hand. "Wait." He stared at the screen, eyes wide. That human was bait. Jake stepped through the gate without a word. Titan stood beside him like a shadow. The crowd formed quickly. Scientists, soldiers, and officers came running. Some screamed, some backed away in fear. One alien whispered, "This is a trick." Another said, "That thing should be dead." But Jake stood tall. Titan didn't growl, didn't move, just stared. Council leader Varnex arrived in a hover car, panic on his face. He stepped out slowly. "You survived," he said coldly. Jake nodded. "I did. You were told to observe, not return with this." Jake stepped closer. "You sent me to die." Varnex looked at Titan with disgust. "That's a wild monster." Jake shook his head. "No, he's smarter than your whole council." The crowd gasped. Titan growled, a low warning. Varnex stepped back. The scientist scanned Titan from a distance. "No chain? No muzzle? How did he train it?" Jake didn't answer. He raised his hand. Titan sat. Gasps broke out from the crowd. "Someone dropped a data pad. He understands commands," one muttered. Jake looked around. "This beast trusted me because I didn't treat him like an animal." The silence was heavy. One soldier tried to shoot. Titan stood and roared. The shockwave knocked the soldier off his feet. Jake stepped between them. "No more traps. No more lies." The commander stared at Jake. "You bonded with it?" Jake nodded. I didn't bond, we chose each other. Footage of Jake and Titan spread across the galaxy within hours. Videos showed Titan defending Jake. Images of them sharing food, resting together, fighting side by side. Alien children watched in awe. Some wept. On distant planets, humans were no longer seen as weak. They were different. They were dangerous and deeply loyal. Later that night, Jake stood on the base rooftop with Titan beside him. The stars shined above. He looked at the sky and whispered, "They thought I would die." Titan huffed gently. They didn't know I'd come back with a legend. 3 days passed. 3 days of silence from the Galactic Council. But the galaxy was not silent. Every planet, every station was talking about the same thing. The human who returned. And the beast that followed him. Not in chains. Not as a prisoner. But like a friend. Children watched the video of Titan sitting beside Jake like a dog. Old warriors watched the battle footage again and again, stunned. Some called it fake. Others called it a miracle. But everyone agreed on one thing. Respect was no longer a choice. It was earned. Inside the high tower of the council, 12 alien leaders sat in a circle. The mood was cold. The air was tight. Varnek slammed his claw on the table. "This is dangerous. A human trained the wildest beast in the sector." "What else can he do?" A jelly-like elder spoke. "Perhaps we misunderstood the humans." A cyborg alien leaned forward. "Or maybe they are more powerful than we ever guessed." The room went silent. At the military base, Jake sat in a large Titan lay behind him, calm but alert. Cameras hovered in the air. Millions were watching live. Varnex entered last. He walked slowly, avoiding Titan's gaze. He faced the crowd and cleared his throat. "Jake Carter, you were not expected to return." Jake stood up. "I know," he said. "You sent me to die." Murmurs spread in the room. "But I didn't die," Jake continued. "I learned, I adapted, and I didn't use force to survive." He placed a hand on Titan's head. "I used kindness." The silence was heavy. Then a small alien girl from the back shouted, "Titan is cute." Everyone turned. Titan snorted. The whole room laughed, even some of the council. The tension broke, for a moment. Varnek spoke again. "So, what do you want, human?" Jake looked around. "I don't want medals. Or titles." He turned to Titan. "I want this creature protected. I want you to stop calling him a monster. He is not a thing. He is a being. With a heart." The jelly elder nodded slowly. "Agreed." One by one, council members stood. "We vote to classify this species as intelligent. We vote to end the kill orders. We vote to give respect." All eyes turned to Varnex. He stared at Titan, then Jake. He didn't smile, but he nodded. "So be it." Outside the building, a crowd had gathered. When Jake and Titan walked out together, people cheered. Not just humans, aliens too. They didn't cheer for power. They cheered for something new. Hope. Later that night, Jake stood under the stars again. Titan beside him, always. "I think they finally see us," Jake whispered. Titan blinked. Jake chuckled. "Yeah, took long enough." He looked into the night sky. "But they haven't seen anything yet." The next morning, the galaxy was watching, not because of war, not because of politics, but because of a human and a beast. Together, they had done the impossible. A ceremony was arranged in the Grand Star Plaza. Thousands filled the space. Screens showed the event on moons and ships across the stars. At the center stood Jake, dressed in simple clothes. Beside him sat Titan, calm, proud, and unchained. No one laughed this time. No one doubted. They just watched. An alien ambassador stepped forward. "Jake Carter, you were sent on a mission to die." Jake smiled slightly. "I remember." The ambassador nodded. But instead, you taught us something. You didn't bring back a weapon. You brought back a bond. You didn't show strength through violence, but through understanding. The crowd clapped. Even soldiers, even children. Titan huffed quietly. It was his way of smiling. After the ceremony, Jake was offered medals, land, even a title. He refused them all. I didn't do this for power, he said. I did it because no one else ever thought to try. The media asked, "What will you do now?" Jake looked at Titan. "I'm going back." Everyone gasped. Back? To Galactic? Jake nodded. There are more like Titan, lost, hunted, misunderstood. He paused. And maybe more humans like me are ready to meet them. That night before leaving, Jake walked through the base one last time. Some of the same aliens who had laughed at him now stopped to salute him. Titan walked beside him through the halls like a legend. No chains, no fear, just quiet respect. Jake and Titan boarded a small ship. As the door closed, the alien commander whispered to his officer, "They sent a man with nothing, and he came back with everything." On Galactic, the jungle was still wild, but this time, Jake wasn't alone. He set up a small camp near the old cave. Titan lay beside him, watching the trees. Jake opened a notebook and wrote, Day 1. The world once feared the beast. Now the beast shows us how to be better. In the distance, soft growls echoed. More eyes watched from the shadows, not enemies, curious friends. Titan stood, sniffed the wind, then looked back at Jake. Jake smiled. Let's meet them. And together, man and beast walked into the wild, not to fight it, but to understand it.